Hello, welcome back to Learning with Ms. H. We're going to take a look at Earth science, and our lesson for today is going to be the geologic time scale. So we're going to go ahead and get into our Canvas page, and you are going to take a look first at the bell work on the assignment for the day. You're going to click on this to get to the discussion post, and in here you're going to choose one of these two questions to answer. So push reply, type your response, submit it, return back here. Don't forget to reply to a classmate. When you come back here to the main lesson page, you're going to see a link right here. It is also at the end of the presentation, and this is a blank copy of the geologic time scale. You are going to need to make sure that you have a geologic time scale table in your notes by the end of today. So you can either use this blank one, or you can just pause the video and copy down the one that's in the actual notes themselves. So we are going to go through the geologic time scale and look at the basic general information today. First of all, it's based on interpretation of rock records. So geologists are going to look at the rocks that they find, and then they're going to use what's known as relative dating principles to determine how old those rocks are and put them in order, oldest to youngest, and list out some things that are together around the same amount of time based on where they're found in those rock strata, those rock layers. We divide the geologic time scale into several different sections of time, from the oldest, which is an eon, all the way down to the youngest, which is an epoch. Eons get divided into eras, eras get separated out into periods, and then periods get separated out into epochs. The only epochs we're going to worry about happen in that Cenozoic era, and most of those are going to be in the Quaternary period. So we're going to break this down. We're going to take a look at all of these. This is the image of the geologic time scale that you'll need to copy into your notes. You can do this one that's in color, or you can use the link to the blank one. And we'll come across that image again later, but it's going to go through each one of these time frames from eons to eras to periods to epochs. So here's how that structure works. An eon, the current eon that we are in is the Phanerozoic, and it began about 540 million years ago. It's the Greek word for visible life. You don't actually need to know the Greek terminology and what it means. You do need to know that it's the last 540 million years, and it is the Phanerozoic eon. When we break the Phanerozoic eon down, we break it into 3 different eras. So the next stage down from eon is era, and we have the Phanerozoic gets broken down into Paleozoic, which is ancient life or the oldest era, so the first one that came about. The Mesozoic, which is middle life, the middle era, and the Cenozoic, which is recent life, or the most recent era, or the one that we're currently in. So each one of those eras then gets subdivided further into periods, and then we are going to characterize those periods by the amount of life forms or the types of life forms that are living on Earth during each of those times. So the splits between the time frames are mostly based on the life that's found on Earth at the time. So again, here's this time scale image. Pause the video here to get this copied down into your notes. Also pause the video anytime you need to finish up a slide and then catch up. So this is a fairly easy table to copy down. You have 3 columns, and then you're going to divide those out. Make sure that you have the age 0 years ago, which is current time at the top, 540 million years ago at the bottom. That is the beginning of the Phanerozoic eon. The times in the middle will fill in as we go through each one of these time frames, so you don't necessarily need to worry about having all of those hash marks over there. All right, so we're going to start our focus with Pre-Cambrian time. Pre-Cambrian time is before this geologic time scale. So down here at the bottom, we start with the Cambrian period. Pre-Cambrian time is everything from before that. And we're going to go through Pre-Cambrian time in some pretty good detail over the next few lessons. So it began at the beginning of the Earth, when Earth first started forming, and it goes all the way to 540 million years ago when the Cambrian period starts, and that's the beginning of the Phanerozoic Eon. So about 4 billion years prior to that is when time began for Earth, and that's when we begin our Pre-Cambrian time. It is also divided into eons, and we're going to talk about each of the eons in Pre-Cambrian time coming up in some focus lessons. But it was all the way up until 540 million years ago, one giant time cluster called Precambrian. It's about 88% of Earth's history. So most of Earth's history is in this Precambrian time. There's very little of Earth's history in the current eon that we're in. During the Precambrian, we had a lot fewer life forms. They were more simple, simplified, single cellular. They were a lot harder to identify because, number one, the rocks have been disturbed more often, and number two, being single cellular primitive life forms, and a lot of them were really very squishy, so they were more soft, not as much bone. The fossils didn't really keep all that well. They don't make good fossils in the first place, and with all the movement in the rocks and everything, the fossils get disturbed and destroyed. So, for this concept check, go ahead and pause here and list out all of the different time frames that the geologic time scale is divided into. Also answer, what eon and era and period do you think humans appeared in? So pause here, think about where we're at now, think about that image of the time scale, and tell me where you think we're found. This last image here, or this last slide here, is that blank copy of the geologic time scale. Again, you don't need to do this one if you already did the geologic time scale. I think it's actually slide 5. But if you already copied that, you don't need to do the blank one. You're gonna next, when you're done with notes, come down here and click on this video. This is an overview of Earth's history, and this guy does a really good job of putting it on the football field. So you're going to watch this video, he's going to put Earth's time history on the football field, and then when you're done with that, you're going to do an activity where you're actually going to do that yourself. So watch him do it, and then come back here, and you'll click on this geologic time activity and complete a football field on your own. The video really does help a lot, so make sure you watch it. So here, when you click on this, is your assignment for today. There's 3 parts to this. You have a table that you're going to fill out. You have a football field you're going to complete and some questions to answer. Up here at the top, there's a copy of an answer document for this project. Everything you need to turn in can be placed on this page. If you click this link here, it will take you into this page. So this is your blank document. Now the geologic timescale or football field that's on here, you're going to need to delete and replace with your own. It's a placeholder. So you're going to first come to this table. The video is the same. You're going to have a football field that you're going to put in part 2, questions to answer in part 3, and a table to complete in part 1. So you're going to go to the website that's linked in the instructions, and you're going to fill in any blank dates in this middle column. So go to this website here, and it's going to give you information about the geologic time scale. You'll be able to see the whole website, and you can use that to fill in any missing dates. So you'll go to that site, find the Proterozoic Eon, and it will tell you how many million years ago it happened, or it began, and that's what you'll put in that column. So here are those dates right here in this table. The 2,500 million years ago, that's actually 2.5 billion years ago. So 2,500,000,000. Geologists are weird, they write it funky, but that's how it works. So that's 2.5 billion and 3.8 billion below it. So million years ago, you're going to have 6 zeros behind your number. So that would be 2,500 and then 6 zeros behind it. So 2,500,000,000. You're going to do that for all of these. Any of them that are missing. Then you have a couple of these that say subtract the year invented or the year it happened or discovered from the current year. These are more recent events. So the World Wide Web, the internet, was created in 1990. So you'll do the current year divided by, or the current year minus 1990, sorry. And 2021 minus 1990 is 31, and that's what you'll put there. When you're done, you're going to fill in the distance column. And to do that, you're going to take this conversion factor that's listed in the instructions here. 50 million years is equal to 1 yard. So what you're going to do is take your years ago from the middle column, divide it by 50 million, and put that answer in your yards column. So there's 80 million years ago, and we're going to divide by 50 million. And that answer will be the distance in yards away from the present. So it's 1.6 yards away from the present. So that's going to be important when we're filling in our football field. So on this football field, you have today at one end, and then you have the beginning of time at the other. So you're going to go, each one of these lines is a yard. So the first line is 1 yard, the second line is 2. So we're going to put the mountains forming right here in between the 1 and the 2 because they're at 1.6 yards. So you're going to do that for all of these items in this first table. If there's more than one that goes on the same line, there's several boxes. You can put one in each box. If you have more than 3, just put a comma and put the next event in there as well. Okay, you can also wrap your text up here. So if you have too many to fit on the line the way it's set up, put a comma, put the next event, keep doing that. You can put as many events in one space as you need to, and by clicking that wrap text, it will expand the box so that you can see everything. So you're going to go ahead and do that for all of your events. So every one of these events is going to go in that football field there. And then you're going to copy and paste your football field in right here for part 2. And all you have to do is go back to the football field spreadsheet, highlight all the boxes, click copy, come over here, click paste, and you get your football field put in there. And you'll see that the first thing that I put in here are already in here, the Rocky Mountains and the dinosaurs. So make sure you finish the table before you do this, and then just copy and paste it over. And you'll be able to see everything in one document then. So all 3 parts of this will be submitted by one document. Once you're done with the football field, don't forget to come down here and do part 3, the questions. These questions are what you're going to see on the test. It's super important that you don't skip them. You will not get full credit if you don't do all 3 parts of this assignment. If you have any questions, come back here, watch this video, and see if you can get some help with this. Have a good day. We'll see you next time.